Please enjoy this message from David Arquette sent in by the fabulous Carrie Tenney.
Hey Ryan, how are you? Thanks for doing the Scream podcast.
Like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
You are listening to Scream with Ryan C. Showers, the podcast for Scream fans just like you. Join Ryan every week as he takes a deep dive into the horror film series that defined the 90s and redefined the genre. Scream with Ryan C. Showers is your source for scene and quote analysis, character dissections, and the latest news about upcoming installments of the Scary Movie franchise.
I hear you like horror movies, Carrie, but do you like them as much as him?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Scream with Ryan C. Showers. I'm your host, Ryan C. Showers. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. In this episode, you're going to hear from one final Patreon going through the traditional Scream with Ryan C. Showers Scream ranking, Scream story, and speed round before Scream 7. And then you're going to hear two different group Zooms covering the same topic for our traditional predictions for the new movie, so Scream 7 predictions. Please note, these are not spoilers. No one here is saying anything based on any spoilers that they may or may not have read, so this is all just pure fun, so please enjoy the episode. In the lead up to Scream 7, I couldn't be more grateful for everybody out there who listens to the show, who supports my podcast here, listening every episode, or on social media on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. If you would like to become a member of the podcast, come to the group Zooms, be on the show on a one-on-one or small group setting, consider joining the Patreon with Scream with Ryan C. Showers. In addition to the benefits of coming on the podcast, you can also join our social media groups, in particular on Instagram. That's the main hub of the podcast. I also do a monthly audio commentary of a Scream movie or a Scream-related film. From now through April, we are going to be having a new Scream movie audio commentary. So if you would like to hear my thoughts in an audio commentary form in the style of Wes Craven, Marion Maddalena, et al. Of the original trilogy, please consider subscribing and supporting the show. Thank you to every single person out there who subscribes on Patreon. So I need to thank TJ Jones, who does all of the graphic design work for the podcast, and Ashley Summers, who helps me produce the show every week. In addition, I need to thank everybody over at Patreon, including the Stab Investors and Daddy Ghostfaces. The Daddy/Mama Ghostfaces, they include Carrie Tenney, Corey Wilson, Andrew Dominguez, and Brett Janovich. I also need to thank all of my Stab investors. They include Mark Harim, Josh Carr, Ali, Tamika Jones, Christian Ranke, David D., Gustavo Mora, Jess Mariano, Joey Nabrini, aka The Vault, John Cardney, Josh Camillari, Scream Queens Podcast, both Josh and Justine, Kevin Abner, Mark Vieira, PW05, aka Philip Douglas, Roy Garza from the Hoodie Talks podcast, Ryan Not Dying Young, Sam Levy, and Stevie Shears. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Scream with Ryan C. Showers. I'm your host, Ryan C. Showers. Thank you for joining me for this segment. I'm sitting here with one of my Patreon supporters who has been involved in the podcast for a long time, but this is the first time we're getting to sit down and talk. And he is the last person that you're going to hear from in terms of like Scream story and speed round before we see Scream 7, which is so cool. So everyone, please welcome my friend, Julian Fernandez. Hey, Julian.
Hello, hi, nice to meet you, finally.
Finally. So it's just so fun to meet a new Scream fan.
Yeah, thank you. And I have to say thank you to you also for putting so much effort and work into bringing this community together. Because my Scream story is probably almost 30 years old. I don't know. But I, for the longest time, didn't know that there was an actual fan community. And so only about 2 years ago, I think a friend of mine actually said that she was listening to this Lord of the Rings podcast. And I thought, well, that's weird. There's a Lord of the Rings podcast. Well, then is there a Scream podcast perhaps? And there was. And that's when I signed up. Yes.
You bet there's a Scream podcast. So, so you mentioned that your Scream story is 30 years old. First of all, you look younger than me. But so when did you first see Scream? Did you see it in theaters?
No. I think my story starts in like 1998 or 99. I must have been about 11 years old. Too young to watch a scary movie like that, probably. But I do have to preface this by saying that my mom always let us watch scary stuff when we were very young anyway. I don't know why, actually, because she didn't. She's a like primary school teacher. You wouldn't think that of her, but I remember sitting on the couch with my sister and my mom when I was like 6 and 7 years old, watching X-Files and The Outer Limits and things like that. So there was probably a little bit of a fascination she also had with it. Yeah, but when I was 11, my sister brought a tape recording of Scream home with her. I don't know why, but she got it from a friend and she put it into the VCR and we watched it. And I will never forget that moment where Ghostface is chasing Drew Barrymore across the yard. And I was just thinking, he's not going to stab her now. Like, they're not going to show something like that, are they? And then you just see that knife go into her chest. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. I was already so invested in her character that I didn't think they would do anything with her. And then, he kills her very brutally. I thought for the rest of the movie that they were probably just going to figure out who did it. It's like a murder mystery, which, I mean, essentially it is, but they kept on killing more and more people, and I just got more and more fascinated with it. But I can't tell you why that is. But what I can tell you is that for the next week or so, I watched that tape every single day until my sister had to return it back to her friend. And I got my friends to watch it. My best friend also became hooked to Scream, or to horror movies, at least for a while. And we watched Scream 2 together. And we started this thing where we do sleepovers, the two of us, whenever our parents went home. And then we'd sit there and get videos from the video store. And we'd always have a baseball bat next to us and a knife on the other side to protect ourselves.
So when did you see Scream 2?
I think it must have been shortly after that, because I remember seeing Scream 1 and then Scream 2 not too long after that. And I think Scream 3 came out shortly after I saw Scream 2. Because I think it came out around about Easter in 2000 in South Africa, which is where I grew up. So I remember the two of us went to go see Scream 3. We were way too young. We weren't allowed to get tickets. So my friend, her name was Catherine, she went to the bathroom and she just slapped on so much makeup to make herself seem older.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, we were 12 or 13, and we managed to get into the cinema, and it was a packed house, and we just loved that movie so much. Scream 3 was, I think, one of the reasons why Scream 3 is so special to me is because it's the first one I got to see at the movies. And I only got it to see that one time because of the age restriction. I just didn't want to risk it again, and I couldn't always drag my friend with me to put makeup on her face. So I just, I think because we were so young, it just felt so dangerous to go watch a movie like that. And that feeling has always stayed with me. And I was so terrified in the movie theater. And it was the first time I heard like a surround sound as well. So that's one of the other things I remember. And I also remember having the hugest crush on Roman.
We are twins. So the original trilogy, we've gone through like you seeing those films, but like this, I think this is a good time just to kind of spit out your Scream ranking before we go into 4, 5, and 6, and then talk
Sure.
about 7. So what is your Scream ranking?
So it's 3, 2, 1, and 4 interchangeably. I can't decide between the two. Then 5 and 6.
I love this ranking. Well, obviously because it's Scream 3. Having discourse can be kind of boring whenever everybody puts the original first, no matter what. And then it's just the question of what's your favorite sequel. Because in my opinion, I love Wes Craven's sequels. I think all 3 of them are truly spectacular, truly kind of game changing in their own respects, and like just as good as the original, or should be on the same playing field as the original. And I love that how you put like, 3, 2, 4, and 1. Like actually you have the same ranking as my sister. If 4 is above 1. I love this story, and I love what Wes does with those 3 sequels in terms of just like making the world bigger and expanding the characters and the mythology and kind of the storylines. Like we had it so good.
I think that Scream 3, what I love about any form of art, be it a song, a movie, or a picture, whatever, is it needs to deliver a mood. And I think more than any other Scream films, Scream 3 really delivers a mood, and I think it might be the Hollywood thing. And I think you mentioned it in your commentary of Scream 3. The very first image is the Hollywood sign, which is so damn postmodern. It's telling us exactly what the story is going to be about. Hollywood, intrigue, exploitation, immorality, danger, sexism, all of that. Like, that's what we're going to be seeing. And Scream 3 gives the whole story context. I mean, the whole narrative of Scream context and motivation and reason for existing. And it just makes it all so much more meaningful. And it kind of makes all of the kills so much more meaningful and all of the development so much more meaningful. And it's just such a poetic ending to that first cycle of Scream.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, I don't think, and this is the kind of the problem with continuing on with Scream after Scream 3 is like, I don't think that we could ever have a greater ending than what the ending was to Scream 3 because
Yeah.
of the backstory coming full circle with the current story and how nice of a bow Sydney and Galen Dewey all get. It's just, there's something about Scream 3's ending that feels so conclusive and epic and satisfying and emotional. And thank you for listening to my audio commentary. So I appreciate that.
I love it. Yeah.
Well, so okay, in your ranking, you referenced 1 and 4, kind of like battling it out. And I'm just curious, what's your thought? What are your thoughts on Scream 4 and this struggle you have with 1 and 4?
I think Scream 1 is the movie that I probably rewatch the least. Not because I don't like it, I obviously love it, but I think because it sort of sets the scene and it sets the whole concept. That's why it's an important movie, not just within the Scream narrative, but cinema history in general. I think it's an important movie, and I'm glad that it's that there are people who actually credit it with that. I didn't realize that until I joined your podcast, actually, and I just think that Scream 4 to me, Scream 4 was sort of the movie that sort of started a new cycle, but then it didn't happen. It did almost like Scream 1, 2, and 3 in one movie, perhaps. And I love the characters in Scream 1. I love the characters in Scream 4. I just find that Scream 4 is a little bit more, there are more things happening in Scream 4, which makes it easier to rewatch, I think. It's a little bit more entertaining. In many cases, it works almost like a farce with people coming in and out and in and out, so there's something very theatrical about it, which I enjoy.
Scream 5 and 6 have existed in the universe of Scream after Wes Craven's films, and Scream 7 is kind of starting a new page, but it's still kind of attached to this new era. And I was actually just, musing on it today. It just feels like, living through like 5 and 6 within the podcast, it just feels like right now, like the past week, the past month, the past 3 months, it just feels like we are in the prime of this Paramount/Spyglass era of Scream. It just feels so right. It feels so natural. It feels like we know what we have this time. You know what I mean? So, but with that being said, what are your thoughts on Scream 5 and 6?
I didn't hate them, but I had to treat them as spin-offs.
But in essence, that's what they are. Unfortunately, like, that is the harsh truth.
It is. Doesn't really, I mean, they try to continue the Scream narrative, but I think they kind of fail for different reasons. I thought that especially Scream 6 was what a theme park ride of Scream would look like, I enjoyed it. It was thrilling. There were lots of stuff happening, but I didn't enjoy them as Scream films as such. I think one of the problems is that 1 to 4 really work with this idea of memory. And or Sydney rather, when I say we, I mean Sydney, we get new psychological information with every single movie. And we have to adapt to that. And there are new characters whom we have to react to differently. So Sydney is a very flexible character, probably because she's quite compassionate and she's not sort of dead set in stone somehow. She adapts, she moves, she's flexible, and we have to be that as well. So these films kind of challenge us as well. She changes her strategy every single time. We know more about Sydney in every movie because she knows more about Sydney in every movie, and she takes that trauma from one movie to the next and to the next and to the next. So it's kind of all based in memory. Now, the problem with Scream 5 and 6 is what I think is that instead of us sort of discovering the world around Sydney through her eyes, we have Sam, who literally tells us the whole backstory that happened before. She kind of explains all of that. She explains her character to us, especially throughout Scream 5, there's a big backstory. And so there's a lot she has to tell us for us to believe her and for us to invest in her. It makes it difficult to invest in her because we weren't there to experience any of it with her. So, and then especially Tara, she doesn't seem to invest in her either, which makes Sam sort of a character I don't particularly believe, you know. And then in Scream 6, you'd think that Tara might, even though she's the younger sister, she might be more protective over her older sister, knowing what she's been through. But the exact opposite happened. Someone you interviewed recently mentioned Frozen as an example, the sister story. And I think Tara should be more of an honor to her sister.
You're hitting the bullseye because I often think about like the time that and like events that happen off screen of Scream. Like in Scream 3 is like the perfect example. So everything we learn in the plot about Maureen's backstory is stuff that happened off screen, and we're kind of putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And that's kind of how Scream 1 operated, but like Scream 3 operates like on a supercharged version of that. So it's so interesting to think about like the idea of memory, you know, and like the idea of like the things that haunted Maureen in her memories of like, you know, Roman and Billy and Stu and like all these events that have happened, they haunt Scream. And that's what makes Scream so fascinating, is kind of learning the past and
Yeah.
kind of and in an abstract way and an investigation kind of a way. And I think that that's something that Scream 5 and 6 sorely lacked. I think Scream 5 tried to do it, but they went about it in the wrong approach, which was the, you know, the dump of information all at
Yeah.
once, as opposed to the trickling out of information throughout the film in the way that, like, say, Scream 1 did it.
I wonder what would have happened if Sam only found out she was Billy's daughter maybe in Scream 6 or throughout Scream 5.
Mm.
I think that would have made it a little bit more interesting for us to watch her, I think,
Yeah.
and to go along with her story.
Right. Well, so with all that being said, you know, what are your thoughts on Scream 7? In your opinion, are we moving out of the spin-off territory and back into the main central storyline?
I hope so. You know, I think one thing that I really wish for Scream 7 is that it gives us narrative, that we get an actual story that will link up to whatever happened before. Now, we've obviously Mindy and Chad, and I wonder if they're going to treat them as the characters they were before, or if they're kind of going to reintroduce them.
I saw this tweet literally this morning, and it was basically the gist of it was that there's no shade toward Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, but Scream 6 and those characters and that storyline didn't necessarily need a sequel. And I'm going to take it even a step further, and not even in terms of needing it. I don't think that Scream 6 earned a right to a continuation of that story. I think that like the quality of Scream 6 and with the killers and just, you know, how it treated Gail Weathers and like the weird questions of morality around Sam, and like the way that it treated the survivors, the lack of stakes, everything in Scream 6, I just don't feel like the quality of that earned another chapter of that storyline. So I think that regardless, like, you know, no matter what happened between Scream 6 and 7, I think that going to Sydney Prescott and introducing her family and recentering the franchise around her, which is where a lot of fans believe it should be, I think was the right move, regardless, based off of the quality of Scream 6.
Yeah, and I mean, Sydney is the anchor point in every aspect. So I think it's the right thing to do. When we watch Scream 1, 2, 3, 4, we are invested and we are fans because we love Sydney, you know?
Yeah.
And essentially that is the story that we want to see unfold. I think with Sam, because there was this whole idea of her being the killer in the next movie had she been in it. I mean, in essence, I think it's not a bad idea, but the way they set that up and seen in Scream 5 and 6, that would have been quite a jump, I think. It would have had to been much more intricate, I think, and much more subtle. And especially at the end of Scream 6, they were just sort of pounding it in on her somehow.
What are your thoughts on continuing with Scream 8 and 9 in terms of balancing Sydney and Tatum? I don't think that Sydney is ever going to be completely set aside like she was. It's possible that Sydney is the main character of 7, and then they give it to Tatum for 8. Then 9, maybe they share. Maybe it's more Sydney than Tatum, or, you know, maybe it's just equal,
Yeah.
like a Scream 4. But what are your thoughts on the long-term nature of Scream going forward now?
Look, it kind of all depends on what the Scream 7 is going to actually be. But if I could wish for something, would be that we get a Scream 8 and a Scream 9, obviously. Like, if we don't get that, like, give us a new series with Kirby or something. I think exactly what you said was sort of my thought as well. Maybe Scream 8 will be more of a Tatum concentrated movie, and then Scream 9 will kind of be a concert of everyone back. And I don't know. That's what I'm kind of hoping for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's gonna I think there's so much good stuff in store. And I'm just so excited to see Nev again. I'm excited to see Sydney. Julian and I are sitting here. We're recording this on February 5th. So there may be a week or so before you're hearing us. But like what we have just kind of experienced is there was an Entertainment Tonight segment released online with Nev Campbell about Sydney. It's kind of similar to the one we saw of Kevin a few last week or a few weeks ago, but this time it was it's all focused on Sydney and Nev, and we see many clips of Sydney that aren't in the trailer, that we haven't seen in any TV spot. Like we see an extended moment of Tatum and her boyfriend Sydney catching them in the bedroom. We see Sydney and Mark in bed rolling around them, like presumptively having sex.
Mm.
Laughing and smiling and kissing, and we see them in the kitchen, kind of getting ready for the day together. We see Sydney and Mark kind of talking about their daughter, and Sydney kind of feeling guilty, like, did I bring this upon her? So we saw a lot of new material for Sydney and Nev in this Entertainment Tonight segment. It's so exhilarating. We also saw some new shots of her answering her first phone call. What I'm assuming is her first phone call that we saw in the first trailer at the coffee shop, and it looks wonderful. Like the scenes just feel so human. They feel so well written, even though we're just hearing a couple of lines and we're just seeing characters interact physically. There's a different vibe to this. I don't want to sound cheesy. I don't want to sound stereotypical, but I feel like this feels like the original trilogy. I get the sense of the story that you kind of
Mm.
were alluding to earlier. And I find it so exciting. And I love the fact that we are seeing Sydney living her life and having this,
Yeah.
hold their story. We haven't seen this to Sydney ever. In Scream 4, that was a blip moment in time where we didn't really even learn much about her personal life in Scream 4. So in some ways, we haven't seen Sydney since 2011, but in some ways, really since the year 2000s. Seeing just these clips in Scream 7 right now give us such a look into what we're about to see here in just like a week or two with the new
Mm.
movie. What are your thoughts?
I think that Sydney has been treated in a very mysterious way. She's almost like a mythical character sometimes. That there are question marks around her, especially, I mean, Scream 4 and Scream 5. Okay, she wrote a book, but considering the fact that she's uh, obviously got a life, what is that life? I mean, she wasn't just sitting around writing a book for 11 years. What's happened? And one of the things I love about Scream 3 are those moments in her mountain cabin, where we see what her life looks like, what she's doing. She's walking with her dog. She's living in solitude. So we get an idea of what her life has become since Scream 2, which kind of left us very open and guessing what's going to happen next with her. And, like, we can't leave her alone. Don't zoom out more, And uh, in I'm so excited to see that in Scream 7, to see the relationships she's built, the business she's built, the community she's in, and kind of to see, up until the moment where she first receives a phone call or hears about something, I don't know, but to see how she manages life and what all of these experiences have done with her and how she's overcome them, or how she's working with them or working through them to make sure she can live a rich life and a happy life, and whilst still being very conscious of her past. And I just find that those moments will make her as that much richer of a character, um, and will take us along for the ride much more than previously.
So, in terms of like Sydney balancing both like the Sydney that we know that is, really based in trauma and based in caution and suspicion, and protecting herself. How do we think Scream 7 is going to balance that Sydney, like the Sydney of like Scream 2 and Scream 3 versus the Sydney of the beginning of Scream 7, where, she is trying to live her life and be happy with her husband and her kids? Like, what do you think the push and pull of that is going to look like in Scream 7?
I think we're going to see a lot of calculation. So I think that we're going to get an idea of what her life is, and then we're going to get an idea of what's been going on in her head for the past years and the things that she's been getting ready for, and that she's is the structure she's set in place to protect her family should something happen. Um, as you know, and I don't think she's living her life in a way that she thinks something will happen. But should something happen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to press this button, and then that's going to fall into place. And I think what we're going to see is that that system that she's created might be fine in the beginning, but it will fail at some point, because she will have underestimated the range of thought that the killer or killers will go through to reach her. I mean, there's one of them in the attic. I'm assuming that's her house.
The way that you just were describing it, I wish the listeners could have seen the smile on my face, because I just lit up like a candle whenever he said, like, when that the plans that she has are one eventually there's going to fail. That's exactly it. That's exactly what's going to happen. Like, Sydney is that smart of a person. She's mapping everything out, but you can't plan for everything. And that's what so good. Cool. Well, so Julian, before we go, I'd love to hit the speed round questions with you.
Sure.
You are the last person to receive these questions, because I'm going to completely like redo them, overhaul them after Scream 7.
Okay.
So this is sad. I feel like we should be having a glass of wine with these just to celebrate. Sydney, Gail, or Ty?
Sydney.
Okay. I feel like you haven't said anything about Gail in the last 40
I
minutes.
really haven't said anything. And you know, the weird thing is that I absolutely adore Courtney Cox. I mean, she is my favorite friend. I really haven't said anything about Gail, and this is actually on my wish list for Scream 7 as well. Now that you mention it, is to see how they are going to work with her narrative, and I really hope we're going to get a Scream 2 kind of Gail than Scream 7. One who has high stakes, one who is aware of her relationships and the importance of her relationships. I think, you know, Gail is an important character, not only for things like comic relief and sidekick supporting characters, but Gail reminds us that all of this is entertainment. Like, you know, crime, murder, it's all entertainment.
All right. Sam or Tara?
Sam, if I have to choose.
Dewey or Chad?
Dewey.
Favorite movie buff across the franchise?
Probably Randy.
Okay. Favorite killer?
Roman and Jill.
Woohoo, my people!
You know what's weird though? I'm not sure if you've talked about this previously, but I think it's so weird that everything always goes back to Billy. Everyone always talks about Billy, and yes, okay, Billy's a cool killer and blah, but it's like Roman is the mastermind of it all. And it feels like he's not mentioned at all after Scream 3. And he is such a vital, I mean, he's the key character. So I don't know. It's weird. And I think the family connection generally with Roman and Jill also, it just makes everything so much more personal. And both of them are highly passionate. They're crazy. And as I said, Jill is so unhinged. And I had the biggest crush on Roman. Like that aggression in his eyes and that determination. It might sound really weird and creepy, but like that made me tingle in all the right places.
Well, favorite opening and favorite finale?
My favorite opening is Scream 1. It's just iconic. And my favorite finale is Scream 3.
Woohoo! I'm so glad that we're ending on this note, ending these questions, because like that is the correct answer.
I agree.
Do you have a favorite scene in any of the movies?
I have a couple of favorite scenes. I think so. In Scream 1, I think my favorite scene is actually the video store scene with Randy, Billy, and Stu.
Oh, interesting.
Because it kind of establishes the whole meta, like the characters are way more, the characters are way more aware of the principles of horror movies or scary movies. And I also really love the acting in that scene. It is so unhinged, and you can see they had so much fun doing it. So I love that. In Scream 2, it's Gail's chase scene, which still has me on the edge of my seat. And in Scream 3, I think it's two things. Firstly, the moments we see Sydney in her own environment, and then I love the battle at the end with Roman, because in a way it's two siblings fighting.
Do you have a favorite kill or death in the franchise?
I have two. The first one is Jennifer Jolie, and the reason being that by this point, I just love her so much that I don't want her to die. And I love that right at the end, she's still arguing with the killer, saying, I'm the killer in Scream and Stab. You can't kill me. And then, it's just very true to her character. And also then you've got Dewey on the other side. Gail, the mirrors are moving. There's a comedic aspect to it, but that one was just very heartbreaking for me, actually. And then I also like Olivia's death in Scream 4, because it's almost Wes Craven's way of saying, hey, we're back, and we're back with a vengeance.
And especially on two levels, right? You have like the one level of like Scream 4 being back after 10 years, 10, 11 years. But then you also have like Scream 3, people thought that it wasn't bloody enough or gory enough.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're back. The blood is back,
Yes, absolutely.
Favorite supporting role across the franchise?
It's probably also Jennifer Jolie. She's just iconic. Parker Posey is hilarious, and you hate her in the beginning, but she just, I don't know, works her magic on you.
I feel like we're twins. I feel like, we are like, you're like the European version of me.
I also like Kirby, but I think I didn't buy the FBI agent thing in Scream 6. Just it didn't feel like it would have been her job of choice. I wanted her to be something a little bit more nerdy, maybe like a university lecturer or something like that with an obsession. Not a, I don't know, the FBI agent seemed a bit forced somehow.
Yeah, I agree.
Special shout out to Portia de Rossi and Rebecca Gayheart. I thought they were great in Scream 2.
Favorite thing about Scream?
I think the relationships, especially between the trio, that's my favorite thing. And I love how Sydney and Gail's relationship, they really grow closer together. I love that. And I do have to say that the Scream 3 score is phenomenal.
It is. When people talk about Marco Beltrami's score, you will hear some people say like Scream 2. It's Scream 2. Scream 2 is his best. Girl, you do not know what you're fucking talking about. Scream 3
Right?
is a fucking masterpiece. Like
Absolutely.
from what I read, he had like twice or three times as many instruments in the Scream 3 score than the Scream 2 score. And Scream 3 has the longest score of any of the Scream films. Like it's so the music is such a part of Scream 3 in a way that it isn't a part of the other films. And I don't get people who don't think the Scream 3 has the best score. Like I don't understand life the same way. So,
I completely agree. I think it just cuts so deep, and that I don't know what that piece of music is called, but the da da da, like
yeah.
that's when they hold hands, or she takes his hand right at the end.
Mhm.
That's it's just goes so deep. I love it.
Yeah. Well, this has been such a lovely conversation. I loved kind of
Yeah.
getting to meet you and get to know you as a Scream fan.
Thank you so much, and thanks again for doing all of this. You make people feel like they belong somewhere, and I'm not the only person thinking about Scream and other horror movies as well, obviously. Yeah, so thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And
Well,
can I just also say to all of the others, like everyone else on the podcast and the other people in this community, I never really thought about Scream the way I think about Scream now. And it's really thanks to everyone you have on. And your insights, all of you, are so phenomenal and mind blowing and amazing. And I always listen to this podcast at gym, and it just makes me forget all about what I hate about exercising. Thank you for sharing all of your insights. I love you all. And it's such a blessing. Thank you.
hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever European Zoom. So what I'm calling the European Zoom, but I wanted to capture, all of the voices of my European friends or the people who are in a different time zone and who it's frankly impossible to get them at a normal Zoom in the evening. So this is fun. But first ever, the inaugural. This wouldn't be a Scream with Ryan C. Showers podcast if Amar Karim wasn't first in line, topping my shoulder. So Amar, hello.
Hello. Sorry, everyone. I know I just literally barged in, but I thought I can't miss this. I've got to say at least hello to my fellow Brits in here. So, hi, Ryan. How are you?
I'm well. So you are actually literally at the movie theater right now, which is very fun. Why don't you tell everybody what you just told us?
So I've just literally run out of the cinema, come out into the foyer, and I thought I'll say hi to you guys.
The dedication is real, Amar. So, before you were on an episode recently where we talked about the merch and you were afraid that you wouldn't be able to get any merch over there in Europe, but you just reported some good news.
Well, I'm at the Showcase Cinema, so we only have one in Leeds, and there's not that many in the UK as far as I'm aware. And I asked them as I was paying for popcorn, I said, "Are you guys going to get some Scream 7 merch?" And the guy turned to his manager and he goes, "Are we?" And she goes, "Yeah, there's roughly about 100 of each thing, a popcorn bucket with Ghostface and a couple of other things." So she goes, "First come, first serve." So on the 26th, I'm coming here at like 10 o'clock when it opens just to buy the merch.
Amazing. And what's great, Amar, is that I don't have to buy it here and send it to you. So that makes my life
Well,
easier.
yeah, exactly. Save you some of that headache as well.
Do you have anything about Scream 7 you want to put out there as a prediction, like for the actual movie, like the plot or whatever, or a prediction for yourself about Scream 7?
Yeah, a prediction for myself. Honestly, I just want it to be fun, which I expect it to be. I want it to, have a good arc for Sydney and her daughter. I just want it to have good chase scenes. I honestly, I don't want to. I mean, I could guess who I think the killer might be, but that was just spitballing. I just want it to be fun, and I want it to have good writing. And I've said this before. I'm not massive on the motive. I'm like, you come to 7 films and you're like, how many motives can you really have that are going to be unique? So as long as it's okay, and as long as the killers are fun, and it leaves room for a possible 8, then I'll be happy. I'm quite easily pleased, I guess.
Well, and if you're not easily pleased at first, I'm sure you can bend yourself as Mr. Elastic to be pleased.
Can do, yeah, indeed, 100%.
Well, Amar, thank you so much for showing up here and checking in with us. Please go enjoy the movie, and I will see you soon.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Ryan. And thanks, guys, for letting me go on. And I'll speak to you guys later.
We're going to be talking about Scream predictions in this episode. So this can be predictions for the plot. Like if you want to say, you know what, I think Gail Weathers, she is the killer. This is her long-term game plan. If you want to say that, great. If you want to say, I think Gail Weathers is going to be the best Gail Weathers that we've ever seen in Scream 7, for my personal opinion, you can feel free to say that. Anything you want to say, I'm here. So let's kick it over to my friend Christian. Hey, Christian.
Very happy to be here, and I'm very happy to making some artwork for the Patreon.
Well, let's go even further than the Patreon. So, Christian, you made a piece of artwork that I posted on Patreon. So there were 2 things. There was the Scream 7 poster that was in the style of H2O. Beautiful, gorgeous. People loved it. It was a huge, massive hit. It got thousands of likes. But also, you made a Wicked/Scream crossover with Sydney and Ghostface instead of Elphaba and Glenda. And it went so far that Anna Camp, who may or may not be the killer in Scream 7, she may or may not be the opening victim in Scream 7. She's in Scream 7. She's whatever. She's a big star. And she shared your graphic of Wicked, which you called Whacked, as a parody of Wicked. What are your thoughts?
I was so happy when you told me that. That just made my day completely. I've seen her in True Blood and, of course, Pitch Perfect. That's so amazing. We should go into predictions because, the most obvious killer is Anna Camp. She's well known. She's not young anymore. She's about Sydney's age. It should be someone who's about the age. I would be very, very sad if there were some teenagers behind all of this.
Would you be happy with her as Ghostface, or do you think that it would be disappointing?
I would be happy with her. So much a prediction, but it's more like wishful thinking. I want at least 3 killers or more.
Well, that's great. I hope that it happens for you. I hope that we get 3 killers at some point, whether it's in 7, 8, or 9, where it's done well, because the last time we've had 3 killers, it was done terribly. I would actually have a movie where I could say, yeah, 3 killers, it's not such a bad thing. I like your thoughts. So, and I would love just for her to be Ghostface so that you can say that you had the Scream 7 Ghostface share your posts on her Instagram store. I think that's cool.
But I do have one prediction, and I'm not sure. Well, I think it's Jimmy Tatro who's in what is supposedly the beginning of the movie that we see in the trailer thing. I thought it would be really fun if he fakes his death in that beginning.
Okay.
Because what better way to, fake your death than with burning down the house, with the people in there, maybe he's already have a body in there. So he fakes his death and he turns out to be one of the killers at the end. If this is the beginning, which it might not be, if it is, I thought it would be fun if he's actually one of the killers at the end.
That's actually interesting because then the bodies would be burned up. They wouldn't know. You're kind of onto something.
Well, that would be a much better way to start. Well, to do the 3 killers or more. This is more a wishful thinking than a prediction. Wouldn't it be really cool if Matthew Lillard played the mental patient? He's a John Doe. He doesn't talk, and he's kind of like Michael Myers, and they don't know who he is, but he looks awfully much like Stu. And someone at the hospital, which may or may not be involved, well, they would be involved in this, believe so wholeheartedly that he is Stu, that they are doing this to reignite the Stu love. And maybe it turns out that it isn't Stu. It's just someone else. And what if he was part of the finale, but turned out that he would be a good guy? It would subvert everything. He would be a good guy and he would help Sydney out at the end.
I like your thinking here. And I think it would be cool if Matthew Lillard had more screen time and there was kind of a question, I think that it would be really good. I like that idea a lot. It would be a good use of everyone's time, I think.
Yeah,
But
well, apart from that, I'm going to a cabin in the woods this weekend. I will be off the internet next week. I will only be on the Instagram Patreon discussion. I will log off everything else, trying not to be spoiled, because there's bound to be someone who's anti Scream 7 who's going to try to spoil it for everyone,
Yeah.
especially with the media already making this into a very polarizing production, and even more so now. After it's already the biggest opening sale or pre-sales. So they're amping it up.
Well, I think that we're in good shape. And it's funny, as we were actually talking about it in the Patreon chat this morning about the volume of marketing and just how much Scream 7 has really blown up in terms of everyone's consciousness. So it's very fun. I'm excited for you to see the movie. I'm excited for all of us to see the movie. And I hope that it's everything that we want it to be.
I'm seeing a pre-screening IMAX showing on the 26th. So I think that's the same time as it opens in the UK for some reason. But I'm definitely gonna try to get some merchandising then, which, if there are any in Norway.
Well, good luck. Have fun. Hey, Hoodie, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
Good. Mr. Roy Garza of the Hoodie Talks podcast.
Dude, I can't. Like, it's funny. The other morning, I was having a dream about Scream 7, and I happened to wake up, and my kids were watching Scream 4. I was like, oh, this is why I was dreaming about Scream.
Well, tell me about your anticipation. Do you have any big predictions here?
I think, for me, I want there to be at least 3 killers. I hope there's a fourth. If there's a fourth one, I know you won't like this, but I hope the fourth one gets away with it. Like, not in the sense that the killer gets revealed and somehow magically gets away with nobody knowing, but like in a sense, like at the end of the movie, either in the next movie or at the end of it, as the audience, we get revealed that there was another one. So then going into the 8th movie, we're like, oh, we know you're the killer, but like Sydney and them, kind of like the way Kevin wanted the original 5 to go, kind of in that sense. Because I know we're getting an 8. You see the box office numbers, just the pre-sales so far.
And it's not an accident that Neve Campbell is getting questions about Scream 8. She's playing it so cutesy and in these press interviews. I think that 8 is on the horizon for sure.
Yeah.
I think so both you and Christian mentioned the box office and the pre-sales. Oh my God. I know that like a lot can change. Like, so for instance, we are sitting here, Wuthering Heights came out this weekend. It was projected to make over 50 million, which I never thought it would. It came in at 38 million, I think, in the US after being projected for 50. So, I mean, these things can change. But, I don't think that Scream 7 is going to make less than that. I'm sorry. I think, if anything, Scream 7 is going to top Wuthering Heights, which I'm going to love. But it doesn't feel like a big sense of relief to know, oh, wow, we're in good hands. Things are okay.
Yeah, because for instance, the movie theater that I go to since the last 2 movies, I think 5, it was kind of more packed. 6 you had a lot of more empty seats. I don't know why. But when I went and got my tickets the day they dropped, and I checked, I think the next day, the 2 showings they were having, it's fully packed.
Oh,
I was like, it's never been like that. And then I've had people at work, because they know I like Scream and stuff. They're like, hey, Sydney's back. And I was like, well, see, the marketing's doing what it needs to do.
Indeed, for sure. Well, Huddy, do you have any predictions you want to share?
I think Anna Camp is a killer. I mean, we all know it because she's too big of a star not to be. I would be shocked if she's not.
Yeah. Well, if she's not, what do we think happens? Or do we think that she's a victim? Do you think it's just like another Hallie situation? Or do we think she's like the Sarah Michelle Gellar of this, where she's like the first big victim? Or she's just the ghost face and we need to all just accept this and move on with our life?
I think if she's not the ghost face, we'll probably see her maybe not in the 3rd act, but probably closer to it. But my wife did point out, she's like, well, Drew Barrymore was a huge actor and she got cut off in the beginning. I was like, yeah, but I don't think they'll do that again.
Right. Well, she is a huge star. And the thing is, I think what Christian said about the fact that she is of Sydney's age, I will be very disappointed if the killer is not adult. And if we have 2 killers, I want them both to be adult. I don't want teenage bullshit. I've had enough of it. I'm tired of the Richie. I'm tired of the Amber. I'm tired of the fucking, what's his name, Ethan. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Our main character is a woman in her 40s. Let's have a woman in her 40s or a man in his 40s and 50s. Let's have old killers, please. Thank you.
And I really hope people die in this one. I'm tired of people getting stabbed 30 times and then walking away like nothing happened to them.
I was thinking about it could be that Tatum loses every single one of her friends,
Hmm.
which is the making of a great final girl. And you want to talk about like the concept of a final girl. It was originated that there would be one single survivor, and that's what the final girl was supposed to mean. And it's kind of got shape shifted over the years. And now people use the word final girl to interchange with just survivor. So Tatum would literally be the final girl of this new friend group, which I think is really cool. And it's an interesting launching pad for her character.
Yeah. And then, well, I remember we joked about it before about Gail Weathers being the killer. How would that make you feel have Gail become the killer?
Oh my God. No, absolutely not.
Because I forgot, one of my friends pointed out, like, well, they said it in the Scream 6. I was like, we're not talking about Scream 6, okay?
What is Scream 6? I don't know her, as Mariah Carey once said. So no, I don't think that Gail Weathers should be the killer. I just think no. I think she's been established too much of a good guy to be secretly Ghostface.
Yeah, I feel like it would ruin her character arc.
No, no.
I'm just excited for this movie. I can't wait, and I'm so ready for it. Like, when 6 was coming out, the way that they marketed the movie, it made me ready for it, and then we all know how that went. But this one is like, it's different. I don't know. I don't know. I'm so ready for this movie.
Yeah, it's just so cool. I was sitting here with like a new friend that I've made recently in Christian. And I'm sitting here with you, someone who I've known since the Scream 5 era, and David I've known basically since 5 and 6 era. And it's just so cool because with Scream 5, it was so exciting just to have Scream back. And then Scream 6 came out, but it was without Nev, and then it fell apart, and like, and it's just so cool to be sitting here like, oh no, we're actually getting the real Scream sequel. We're getting the real Sydney story directed by Kevin. It's just like, it's almost otherworldly. So I'm so grateful and happy to be in this position and moment.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
Well, you're the best, Hoodie. Please tell everybody where they can find your podcast.
Hey, you can find the Hoodie Talks podcast on X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Awesome. All right, let's now go over to my friend David. David, you there?
I am. Hello, Ryan.
David, it's been a while since I've talked to you. I mean, you're obviously one of like the most active people in the Patreon group on Instagram. Love your shade as always.
I try.
Well, tell me about Scream 7. I know, so just as a recap on David, you love the original trilogy and 4. You're a Scream 3 guy. Don't like 5 and 6, to say the least.
I think I've made that quite well known at this point.
Well, so just an average Ryan C. Showers fan. I mean, so, but David, please tell me what's on your mind about Scream 7 here?
I'm really excited. I'm trying not to get my hype too much because then I know I did it with 5 more than I probably should have based on obviously the trailer that we got for 5. But this one just feel like they say in the trailer, this one feels different. Just I think with knowing that Sydney is the main character again, knowing that Gail is probably going to get a big substantial part, that thrills me in a way. But also I was thinking about it last night. There's a tinge to the happiness because we're not going to have Dewey in a main role like we did in 1 to 4. So that's the only like downer that I have. But like it's such a small downer because like I love watching the parts in the trailer or trailers with Sydney and Gail doing the interview. That's probably what I'm most looking forward to. That's a part of the film that I'm most looking forward to, actually.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because both Nev and Courtney have literally mentioned David and the fact that Dewey died as a mistake in this press tour. Nev mentioned it in a Q&A with an interviewer a couple of days ago. She's like, oh, that really was a mistake, wasn't it? And Courtney Cox, she went on Entertainment Tonight and said, I think it was a huge mistake to kill Dewey off back then. I'm just like, wow. There are some woods there that they have. It is really sad that he isn't a part of this moment in a full, complete way. But I hope this isn't the last time we see David Arquette in a Scream movie. I think that, I don't think this is what's going to happen in Scream 7. And I'm sorry to hijack your turn, but I'm just going to go here. My wish list for Scream 8 or 9 is to actually get a flashback, almost like with, it could be like after Scream 3, you could put the bangs on Courtney as a funny joke or something, or like in between 3 and 4, where we just to see the 3 of them all in the same frame again. I think that would be really, really nice. And just a way to bring him back. I know we've never done a flashback like that before, but I think now is the time, and I want David to be as included as much as possible going forward.
Yeah, that was my whole issue with 5. We didn't even get a scene with them.
Yeah.
I mean, we had obviously the phone call with Dewey and Sid, and then you had the one of my favorite scenes in 5 between Gail and Dewey, and that was like so emotional. But we never actually got a scene with all 3 of them. And again, I will hold a grudge for Radio Silence for that. I understand in the context of the story why they didn't do it, but it still pisses me off. But yeah, I would love to see a flashback. I actually said this in 6, and that was my whole issue. One of my whole issues with 6, they don't even address Gail going through grief because of the Dewey. They could have done a flashback then. That really annoyed me. But yeah, Dewey for me is the heart of Scream. I would say even more than Sydney at times. Because like Dewey is that character you just love. Obviously, he's not a main, but like he's just so lovable and goofy, especially in 2. I think his best movie is the second one, and every time I watch it, it just makes me fall in love with him again. And I love David Arquette anyway, so. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what they do going forward.
Yeah, well, Courtney Cox literally said that Dewey is one of the best characters ever in the history of the horror genre, which I thought was a very bold thing for her to say, but also just like I understood why she fought so hard for him to be in this movie. So I love that. So David, what are your thoughts on Sydney in Scream 7, or any predictions you have about any of the plot, or about how you're going to feel about Scream 7?
I was thinking about this the other night. I was going through like my rankings, but I haven't rewatched them all yet. I'm doing that next week before the film comes out. And I'm excited to see where Sydney is. This does feel like the actual sequel to 4 because like we didn't get her very much in I said season 5, Scream 5, but this feels like what I would have visioned Sydney coming back to the franchise. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm really interested in her relationship with her daughter, and I think that I can't remember the actress's name that plays Tatum, but she is. I think she's going to be incredible, and yeah, I think there's going to be some trauma there for Sydney when the ghost faces. I think there's more than one. Start hunting Tatum and her friends. I think there's going to be some interesting emotional trauma there that we haven't seen before. That's what I'm kind of interested in, not necessarily like the whole adventure of a ghost face coming back and killing people. I'm more interested in like the family drama, which I think Kevin notices because I think from interviews I've seen with him is focusing on, and I think that's a good route to go for this specific movie.
Well, I think that that's the thing about Scream is it is about the family drama in some respects. It's about the maybe the interpersonal drama of the characters, and that's what I think makes Scream really special. So I love your points, and I hope that we get everything that you said. And as it pertains to Isabel May, that's the actress who plays Tatum. I've seen her in other stuff. She's a really great actress. I think she has the talent and the gusto to really do this justice. But it just as on an objective level, from a gay man me to a gay man you, my God, she is so beautiful. I can't even like there was like this like TikTok event over the weekend, and she was there. Nev wasn't. It was her and Kevin and Anna Camp, and she takes my breath away with how beautiful she is. Like I am so excited to see her, and I want to see how she and Nev act, of how the chemistry is between them. I think that'd be really cool. So
Yeah, definitely. On the Anna Camp point, I feel like this is just going to be across everyone. You don't cast her as just a random character. I'm going to put my stake in Anna Camp being the lead Ghostface. I think there's going to be others, still not sure who they are yet, but she is going to be the lead one. I'm calling it now. She's going to be the lead. I have no idea, but you don't cast Anna Camp in that role just as to die in the opening scene or just a random kill.
yeah. And here's the thing too. I just want to say like she's probably going to be Ghostface. Okay. I mean, like for all the points that we've all said. Okay. But like we shouldn't be sad about it because, and it's very obvious, right? And we shouldn't be like, oh, well, it just wasn't surprising. Think of it this way. We are coming off of having the worst ghost faces ever in Scream movies, which are the Bailey family, and people who can't act, right? Or at least didn't show up to do the job of acting in a Scream movie. So Anna Camp is a great actress. I mean, like she, unlike Dermot, I was talking to my friend Joey Valisi over the weekend, and I said, well, if she is the killer, or are we worried about whoever the killer is, their acting? And we brought up Anna, and Joey said, I've seen Dermot be bad before in other performances. He's been good, but I also see him be bad. So there's inconsistency outside of Scream. I've never seen Anna Camp be bad, and that gave me hope. Like just that like that was a radio silence issue. And I think Anna Camp is going to be great. I think if she is the killer, I think she will be a very memorable person as a killer. So I think we should rejoice in the fact, like, thank God Kevin hired somebody who can actually act and someone who actually can bring star power and gusto to go head to head against Nev Campbell if she is in fact the killer,
Yeah. Oh, I'm very happy with Anna Camp. I've seen her in many other things. She's always been great to me. And again, to get an older female Ghostface would be so cool. We've had it once, obviously, in Scream 2. And again, one of my favorite Ghostfaces as well. So I'm really excited to see what she can do. And with Kevin's writing and directing, I have no issues. Yes, would it be unpredictable? No. I think we're all predicting it at this point. But as someone who likes Anna Camp just outside of this, and every time I've seen her in stuff talking about Scream or whatever, before she got cast and everything, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm solid. Having gone through Scream 6 and me hating the killer reveal, I will take anything I can get. I really hated it. So, again, I trust Kevin and I trust Nev. So I don't think I have anything to be that worried about regarding acting or whatever.
There's literally only one way to go as it pertains to the ghost face. And like, if the worst thing we can say, I'm underlining because I don't want people to say I'm spoiling it. If Anna is the killer, I think we should take it as a win that the only thing that we have an issue with is the lack of unpredictability, the fact that it may be obvious. I don't care. Make it be good. That's all we want. So I don't care if it's predictable, but so that's fun. David, any other thoughts you want to share?
Yes, I do want to say my prediction is they're going to kill one of the twins, and it's going to be Mindy.
Okay. How do you feel about that?
Of the core four, Mindy was my favorite. I do think they're killing her.
Okay.
I think she's going to die in that bar scene.
Would you be sad if neither of them die?
No.
Okay.
Because those are two of the new characters that I actually quite like.
I really want someone who's been in more than one movie to die in this one. I would really want for, Jasmine and Mason have both made, 2 movies now. So I would like the stakes to be a little higher than that they only kill random people or new people. She has predicted so wrongly for 2 movies now. So I think it would be only suiting if she was killed during her prediction for the new movie or something like that. And also, she's a very beloved character, and it would hurt a lot if she died for the fans. And I think we need the stakes to be a little high.
I'm somewhere in between you two. I think that I understand, Christian, your point of view. I absolutely, it's different. Like, again, going from Scream 6 to Scream 7, we only have 4 returning characters, where in Scream 6 we had 6, and they didn't do zilch. So it's really hard to weigh everything. I agree with you, though. Generally, I like people to die. I like returning characters to die. So I won't be terribly upset if they don't die, as long as they aren't given death scenes. I think the biggest thing with Scream 6 is all 6 of those characters were all stabbed so fatally at points. Maybe not Sam, but everybody else was stabbed at least 3 or 4, 5, 6, in Chad's case, 70 times, right? And they all survived. Really, where it doesn't feel like Scream, and we are getting screwed over in the quality. So as long as they don't stab Mindy a million times and they let her survive, I'll be okay. But don't do that. Don't be a clown anymore. We're done with that. We're leaving that in 2023.
I'm also interested to see him write characters he did not create, because he didn't create the 2 characters that are returning. So I'm very excited to see how he does Mindy. I'm not too worried about him doing Chad, but Mindy, interesting. I'm wondering what they do with her, because she did become a little bit unlikable in 6. And
so unlikable, so cringe, so distractingly comedic. I think that it would be very interesting to see how Kevin drastically improves her. If it's a little bit, but I want to love Mindy. I don't want to be the person who's hating on her, because I like Jasmine. I think the character has a lot of potential, and I want her to be a good character. She's been in 3 movies. Let's make her good.
I agree. About the interview between Gail and Sydney, there was I can't remember which TV spot. There's been 5 billion of them now. But where we finally see Gail return as actually Gail, and it was kind of heartwarming to see that. And then Sydney's just like, oh, I'm so done with this already before it's even started, and I'm just like, yep, those are the characters that I fell in love with all those years ago.
Yeah.
That's what I'm just excited for.
David, thank you so much for coming to the inaugural European Zoom. I love this. I'm going to get to see you now every month when we do this.
Definitely.
Christian, any final thoughts?
I just really hope that this movie is good. And there was a little thing that I saw during the Q&A with Kevin and Isabel May and Ned Campbell, and that was that Kevin said that there were several cool moments to kill, or cool ways to kill people. He said that he's holding back. He's putting it in the next, he said. So that's also, so you have Nev, but also Kevin has hinted that he is working on the next one. And that would be fantastic.
That's a good point Christian made about Kevin saying that he has this kind of like, he says that he has like this notepad on his phone that he calls the graveyard, where he thinks of like cool death scenes throughout the day or whenever, and like he just keeps track of them. That's how he does. And so whenever he's writing new films or new things, he goes to that note in his phone and looks to see how he can introduce them. And I already kind of figure what he was talking about. And in the Q&A, I think he's talking about, there's a shot in the trailer that we see. I don't want to speculate on who of the cast, but there's a body hanging from like a harness in the air. And that's clearly something that came from Kevin's list on his phone. So, okay, let's go now to Hoodie, round us out.
When we're talking about the whole like people getting stabbed in 6 and then just walking off, it's funny because we're watching Scream 4, and when Sydney gets stabbed and she's like, starts bleeding out and then she falls down, and my wife was like, "Oh, so she just was gonna go out like that?" I was like, "Yeah, now you see why I feel the way I do about 6." She was like, "Okay, I do kind of understand what you're saying."
Yeah. That's the perfect example of the type of tolerance to violence in the West films, and that's true to life. I think. Like, I think if you get stabbed like that, and like Sydney does, she gets stabbed twice, basically in the abdomen. Like, you're going down for the count, and it was a miracle she made it through. But the way that Chad gets stabbed 70 times and Mindy gets stabbed in the same places that Sydney gets stabbed in Scream 4, right? In the subway, the way where Jill stabs Sydney. And yet Mindy is running down the street. I can't stand that movie. Thank you so much for coming to the first ever European Zoom. I was really happy to get this done. I'm happy to have you guys on the episode. We're going to turn it over now to my friend Phil from the Horror Project podcast.
Hi, Ryan. It's Phil. So my predictions are, I'm going to rank the Scream films 1, 2, 4, 7, 3, 5, 6. 7 might slot in before or after 3 in that. No previous killers are coming back from the dead. They're all dead. Jill is going to appear in the film, I hope. And I think Scream 7 is going to be better than 5 and 6 for obvious reasons. Hope it's brilliant. Can't wait to listen. Bye.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next segment of the group Zoom with Ryan C. Showers for the Scream 7 predictions. I am sitting here with Mama Ghostface, Carrie Tenney. Before we let everyone else in the Zoom room to discuss some Scream 7 predictions, I wanted to take a moment with Carrie to honor somebody who is tied into the Scream legacy. He was never in a Scream film, but he is someone who is tied to Kevin Williamson, and he's very important. And I would like to take the next couple of minutes and just let Carrie tribute James Van Der Beek. So, Carrie, take it away, please.
I just wanted to say that James David Van Der Beek was not only a talented performer, he was genuine, he was kind, he was selfless, and he loved people and life. He didn't take himself too seriously. He had a great sense of humor, and he seemed to love to entertain and make people happy. Just from photographs, you could tell that he was a loving husband, father, brother, and friend he was to everybody. No wonder we're all so devastated by his passing. He defined the Zennial generation, as Dawson Leary. He came of age. I mean, we all came of age, well, not all of us, but in the late 90s, early 2000s, watching the WB. Dawson's Creek was really, in my opinion, the heart and soul of that time period for those formative years, whether we were in high school, in the middle of college, or the first years of adulthood. And as the tagline of the show said in the beginning, it's the end of something simple and the beginning of everything else. I initially became to Dawson's Creek because of Kevin, but I stayed because of James and the other cast members. Wilmington, North Carolina became my second home, and I still have friends I met because of James who are still my friends to this very day. I met him several times over the years, and the last I saw him was April 4th, 2025, last year in Pittsburgh, where he signed my Dawson's Creek script, and I just told him that I was rooting for him, and he smiled. Very warm smile and said thank you.
I just want to say to James, in his legacy, Carrie made me start watching Dawson's Creek. Not made me, but I happily. And for me, he is the reason that I fell in love with the show. I found him to be so handsome, so charming, so magnetic. And I think that he was a very special actor and performer. And it's really sad, especially to see Kevin Williamson, how hard James's death is taking a toll on him right before the Scream 7 of it all. I just want to say, as a final note, rest in peace. Thank you for giving us Dawson Leary.
James, we love you.
And thank you, Carrie, for helping me with this tribute. For Scream 7 predictions, Carrie, hit me with it. What is on your mind about Scream 7?
I think when they say, it's all about family, I think this is just a prediction. I think it's going to be tied to Stu somehow. I don't know about Stu being alive or not, but I think it's gotta be especially since they're gonna burn down the Mocker house. Wondering if it has something to do with the briefly mentioned in 5 Leslie Mocker. Since
Mhm.
I say that Stu was her brother, and then her son got killed really just because he was related to Stu.
I think that's a great place to start because, like, in the lead up to, like, before they started filming, I was on the Leslie Mocker train. I kind of wanted that to be part of it. Those rumors about her have kind of dissipated, since they filmed, but we shall see. So, Carrie, I just want to show you something. So, Carrie sent me this Scream 7 sweatshirt, and I just had to wear it for tonight. So, thanks, Carrie.
No problem.
So, Carrie, what else? Tell me anything else about your Scream 7 predictions. What do you predict about yourself in the movie?
Whether I like it or not,
Yeah, like what do you think your opinion is? How do you think you're going to react to it?
I don't think I'm gonna like it as much as 4, but
Mhm.
I think it's gonna be smack dab in the middle.
Well, Carrie, thank you so much. Let's go over now. So we have new Patreons. Oh my God, crazy! I love it. Oh my gosh, so fun. So first, I'm gonna go over to John. Hey, John.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. How about you?
Doing great.
Welcome to your first ever Scream with Ryan C. Showers episode.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We love adding another Scream 3 member to the family.
3's the best. I don't understand the hate that it gets at all. I really don't.
Why don't you tell me about Scream 7, your predictions, whether it's personal, whether it's about the plot? What are you feeling about it?
A couple things. I do think with Kevin Williamson being back, I think we stand to have the biggest body count. Yet
Mhm.
I think currently Scream 4 has the biggest with 11, if I'm not mistaken. So that would mean to me, everybody on the poster dies except for 4 people because you'll have those 10. I think there's 14 on the poster. So I think 10 of the 14 will die plus the 2 that are at the Airbnb. So that would give us 12. So I'm thinking our only survivors are Tatum, Sydney, Gail, and one of the twins, probably Mindy, but we'll see.
Okay, I like it. Go on.
As far as the plot goes, I do believe Stu survived the TV. So I know the group's about split there, but I think it's very plausible. I think we will find out that he is the patient in the insane asylum. He's the one that's got the picture of the original friend group. But I do think that we will find out that he has since died. I think that's why Gail and Sydney will be visiting the insane asylum. Someone's let them know. And I believe the pictures that you see of it looks like a woman to me, is going to be Anna Camp, is the character that he's drawing in the pictures. And I know this theory is a little out there. I'm probably totally wrong, but this is what I'm going to go with. I think that at some point while Stu was in the insane asylum, he had some sort of intimate relationship with Anna Camp's character. I don't think she's Leslie Mocker. And I think that Asa German's character is their child. And
Ooh.
so funnily
Wow.
enough, I put them together, Matthew Lillard and Anna Camp, and an AI generated, and their AI son looks surprisingly like Asa German. Does
Well,
that?
now that you say that, because like here's the thing, like Sam Reckner, Tatum's boyfriend, I think looks much more like Anna Camp. The blonde, Asa German, but I guess he does have the Matthew Lillard hair of 1996. So I haven't heard
So,
this
yeah.
one yet. It's great.
So I really think that's maybe where they're going with it. I don't see, in my opinion, I don't see them bringing Matthew Lillard back for a voiceover or some sort of AI de-aging. I just don't see that happening, but I could be very wrong. I think Kevin has better ideas than that because essentially that's what they did with Billy, what Radio Silence did with Billy in 5 and 6 is. And I don't think he's going to play that same card with all of the dead characters. Probably, your Roman and anybody else that we may see, Dewey. I mean, I'm sure they're just going to be voiceover AI stuff. But I've always said since they had announced these returning dead characters, they announced so many, but one of them's alive. So it's kind of like to muddy the waters a little bit. So that's kind of what I think they are. So yeah, that's as far as the killers go, that's what I think. I just think it would be really cool to see the juxtaposition between the mother-daughter relationship and Sydney and Tatum as the heroines versus the mother-son relationship and the antagonist as the killer. So I think that would be really cool to watch. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I think. So yeah, but even if I'm just completely wrong, the main thing I want is like a Wes Craven third act. Great killer reveal. I'm tired of I'm pissed at the stab movies garbage. Like I don't want that to be the plot at all. It's what killed 5 for me. I was really liking 5 until the third act, and then I was just like, I'm done with this. I don't care anymore.
Well, so what do you predict about the movie for yourself in terms of your opinion, how you think you're going to react?
Because it's so Sydney focused, I'm really, really hoping it falls like right behind 3 for me. I really think with Sydney being back in the front, and for me, put all that stuff aside, who the killers are, who dies, and all of that. To me, this movie is really going to be about Sydney, what's at stake for her, what she loses that she can't get back, like her peace, her pseudo quasi happy existence, all of that. So her family, I really don't see Mark surviving. And I'm also very curious to see what they know, what Mark and Tatum know. Like, what has she told them? Has she told them everything, or do we get like a Julie James, Carla kind of situation from I Still Know What You Do Last Summer, where she kind of glazes over it and just hits the highlights, but doesn't really say how grave the situation was. You know what I mean? So I'm very curious to know how much he's already told them prior to the movie starting versus what we get to see them doing in the movie. So to see that between Tatum and Sydney would be really cool. I'm really hoping that we get to see some of that. So maybe she's not told her everything, so we can kind of see Sydney and get to see, because I think that would be like some great acting for both of them. And so I'm hoping we see the best performance out of Nev since Scream 3. And if you haven't
Yeah.
watched this season of The Lincoln Lawyer, she is amazing in that.
I need to hop on it, but my friend Carrie will tell you that I'm terrible with watching my episodes done for seasons of TV. So now I have one last question for you, John. Okay. Will you be upset if Stu is not alive and it is in fact just AI?
No, I won't be upset. I will be a little disappointed because not necessarily Stu. If they can do it with anybody, because my original prediction before we got so much Matthew Lillard content in the trailers was just that they're going to throw a bunch of these dead characters at us, and most of them will be AI, but one of them won't. So if they don't do it with Stu, maybe they do it with someone else. But will I be upset? No. The only thing that's going to upset me is if the killer reveal just sucks like it did in 5 and 6. And so to me that, because I like the meta version, the meta aspect of it. I think that's what makes Scream unique. But to me, what makes Scream work is the narrative, is the basic story. The meta aspect makes it unique, makes it fun, but at the heart of it, it's a great story. And I just don't feel like a meta motive alone works. And I think that's why I did not enjoy 5 and 6 as much. I still enjoyed them. They were fine, but I just kind of pretend like they're just like spinoffs or something.
Well, I think that's I've heard that I've heard that exact phrase so many times on the podcast over the past couple of months. So I think it's definitely a trend. So it'll be interesting. Well, John, it was really nice to meet you your first time out. It's awesome. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's go now to the other new Patreon here. We love fresh blood. So everyone, please welcome my friend, Ben. Hey, Ben.
Hello, all. How you doing?
Good. How about you?
Yeah, great. I'm one of the people in New Zealand instead of in America, so I'm a little bit. It's my afternoon. I get to enjoy the rest of the day after the pod, so I'm happy.
Well, welcome from New Zealand. So I was in New Zealand and Australia right as COVID was picking up, and thankfully I made it home. And I could never really get the time zone. Like I know UK 5 hours, Germany 6 hours, Australia, New Zealand, it always messes me up. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I want you to share with everybody, what is your Scream ranking as it stands now?
Oh, okay. So when I first joined the chat, I think I said it was 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. Unfortunately, I watched 4 the other night. The last time I'd watched it before the other night, because I was introducing it to the Scream films to my partner. I think I found it a little bit saggy in the middle, and so that's why I put it a little bit lower. Honestly, watching it again, I think I might have to go 2, 1, 4, 3, 5, 6. A big gap in the middle.
Well, and please tell everybody where you hail from. You have your own content that you make, right?
I essentially I got fed up of watching Marvel movies a couple of years ago, and so I started my Instagram page, Hot Takes Film Club, and it gave me a place to be like responsible for what I was watching. And I've been trying to watch one film from every country, but as I've done that, I think I'm just going to use that page to look at something which isn't American-made content, just so that I'm exposing myself to different kind of media. So I do reviews on there. I do writing 101. I do deep dives. I also write myself as well, and I'm sort of talking to producers about making my own stuff as well after sort of burning out from a corporate job. But it's only been recently that I've dove into the creative side again. So Hot Takes Film Club on Instagram is people are interested in looking me up.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And I see an Aliens poster behind you.
Actually, it's not an Aliens poster. What this is it's a laser disc. It's a very old, it's like a pre-DVD kind of format, which is a vinyl-sized disc, a 12-inch disc. Have you got your own? I see you ducking away.
Well, I recently, literally in the past like 2 or 3 weeks, went through an eBay palooza and got a bunch of Laserdiscs. So I have
Yes.
Scream 1, Alien Resurrection.
I've got that one.
I know she did last summer. Oh, that's Ariana Grande's album. No, and then Scream 2. So, the Scream 3 Laserdisc, I want it so bad. It's like $600 on eBay. I can't justify that.
No, there is a person in New Zealand who's selling 180 Laserdiscs for about $2,000, and I'm a little bit tempted, but it's a big cost to pay. So yeah.
Well, wonderful. I love aliens. I'm a huge Alien fan. We just did an Alien episode. I love to throw them in every once in a while. They're spiritually connected to Scream, I think, in a way. So, well, why don't you hit me with it? What are you thinking as it pertains to Scream 7?
Right. So predictions. I guess let me talk about where I think it's going to personally sit. I think it has the potential to sit after 1 in my list. So it would go 2, 1, 7, I think. But that's because it's got a lot of the old blood in there. It's got Nev back as the central point of the story. You've got Kevin, who's, his heart and soul's been in it from day dot, and then it's kind of started his explosion into Hollywood and changed the face of horror for like decades. So I think there's a lot that's going to go on there, which is going to mean that it's going to sit quite high on my list, but also I'm trying not to put my expectations too high so that I get disappointed. In terms of my predictions, God, they've been playing 5D chess on putting one of Tatum's friends, McKenna Grace, in that skirt, to sort of signify, or maybe she's one of the killers. Saying that Matthew Lillard is definitely coming back, along with kind of like what Josh was saying about, releasing a whole bunch of dead characters as coming back, so that one of them that sneaks through actually is alive, whereas the others are AI. I do think they're going to do that. I can't imagine that they would push so hard on the Matthew Lillard stuff if he was actually going to be alive and currently the killer. So I can't see that he's going to be the killer, but I do think that Anna Camp is his sister or some relation of his, maybe in the same way that Sam was the child of a relationship we didn't know Billy had. There's this whole other complicated relationship. Stu in the first film had already been with Drew Barrymore's character and was with Tatum. So how many other people had he been hooking up with? There's all these different elements to it that could come into play. So I do think that she's probably going to be in the killer list. And I do wonder if they are going to sort of touch on this cult of Ghostface angle that we've known from what Kevin originally did. I wonder if they're going to have 4 killers. And if they did do 4 killers, just to sort of give the sense of a cult instead of it being like thousands of people across America, whether it would be McKenna Grace, I thought Asa, is it German or German? Jimmy Taftrow, and then Anna Camp as like the sort of ringleader of the whole thing, based on maybe something that, connected Anna Camp to Stu in the past. Or the other thing that I think is, actually, it's kind of funny that Josh mentioned maybe there's like a mother-son thing going on with Anna Camp and Asa German. Because I thought that they might end up having a kind of Nancy and Mickey relationship where one of them has one motive and the other one has the other motive, and if the two of them work together to make their dreams come true, their killing dreams come true. So I guess that's where I land on who the killers are going to be. And deaths, I was thinking, I do think that they can't kill Sydney. They're not going to kill Gale. I think Gale has the potential in 8 or 9 to actually have a Gale-centered story again, because she's sort of drifted into the background over the last, 3 films, really, unfortunately. I don't think they're going to kill off Tatum because they do think she has the potential to sort of continue the franchise. But in order to create the stakes that Carrie was talking about, I do think Mark has to eat it. And I think he probably has to do it in a way where he's trying to save Sydney or Tatum or both in a sort of heroic cop manner, so that he goes out in a blaze of glory kind of thing. What I do wonder is if that bit in the trailer when it looks like he's being stabbed, I think maybe he gets stabbed and injured, and then it's later on in the film that he might die rather than that being the death of him. But that's where I stand on the death.
So can I just say about Mark, okay?
Yes.
if this was Mark Kincaid, if this was Patrick Dempsey, which, I know some of us haven't moved on, but we need to. I think then we could be. I think I would agree with you guys so far because, like, based on this and the European Zoom earlier today, I've heard this, about Mark and how, like, there has to be stakes. I feel like if Patrick Dempsey were Mark and it was Mark Kincaid, I think he would be an easy death. Like, he would be the one to go. He's the most expensive. He's obviously the biggest diva. He's the hardest to work with. Like, and it would be impactful and it would be a survivor death. Because this is a new Mark, I'm not as hardcore that he has to go. I need to see it. I need to see what he and Sydney are like, what connects them, why she chose him, what makes him special. And I want to see their love in like a really pure, a not cynical way. So if it's right to kill him after showing us that, great. If we want to see more of that, then kill him later. I'm open to that. I don't know. We'll see.
And I guess when it comes down to Mindy and Chad has been stabbed too many times for him. If he gets stabbed in this, he has to die. If he gets injured for a third time and lives, he'll be like, what is this guy, superhuman? What's happening? So I do wonder if Mindy is going to be alive to see Chad's death so that the audience has someone to like mourn his passing through. But that doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to survive until the end either. So yeah, I don't know where that's going to go.
Well, Ben, any final thoughts?
No, I guess I'm super excited. I will be watching it on the 27th. Hopefully, I accidentally they've got Mardi Gras going on in Sydney, and so I'm going over for that, and that means it's on the 28th. So I'm going over on the 26th. It's just at that release point. So hopefully I'll be able to go and see it on a really big screen that they've got over there. Not quite IMAX size, but a big one.
Awesome. Well, Ben, it was so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right, let's go over to one of my favorite Scream Queens. Everyone, please welcome Josh from the Scream Queens podcast.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Ryan.
Well, Josh, what's going on with you in Scream 7? What you got for me?
Okay, I'm loving everybody's thoughts and ideas. I don't really have a thought on like who the killer is because I'm really trying not to overanalyze. I'm wanting to go in. There's even clips in the trailer I kind of look away from because I'm like, oh, I don't want to see too much of that. I think for me, though, I think this one's going to have a lot more stakes. And I think the big swing in this movie is all of Tatum's friend group is going to die. I almost feel like they might kill every teenager off. And they kind of did the same thing in 4, right? Well, I guess Kirby actually lived, but that's where my mind is right now. It's like everybody's going to die. And I think that could also include maybe both Mindy and Chad. I think this might be like it has the potential to maybe have the highest body count. I don't know.
Well, again, I think that would also shape Tatum as literally a final girl because she's the final girl of her friends, of the people her age who are involved here. And that could really mess with her. That could give her some depth for future films.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like it solidifies her as the new final girl. It gives her like trauma and, things to work with and oncoming movies. Hopefully we get more of these, and if she's going to be more in the forefront, then she will have more of a past as well with, all her friends being killed.
Yeah. And any predictions for our girl, Nev Campbell, Sydney Prescott?
I'm hoping it's like the best Sydney we've had since 3. Because I love Sydney in 1, 2, 3. 4, she's fine. I actually like her quite a bit in 4. She's my favorite part of Scream 5, so I love that she's back in the forefront again. I'm worried about her and Gail's relationship. That's my thing. Is there new little clip of Gail being Gail again? And I'm like, oh, I love their friendship in part 5. Maybe they're just kind of teasing us with that clip because I really want them just to like team up, be badass together, kind of, find this fucker, as Gail likes to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm worried about their friendship, like it's going back to square one.
Well, how about this? What if it's not square one? What if it's like an up and down kind of, or what if there's an arc to it, or what if there is beautiful friendship, but there's a kink and then it resolves itself and they grow even deeper with their friendship and their relationship? I mean, the thing is, there was that new shot of them from the Valentine's Day TV spot last week where it's just the two of them looking at Sydney's phone. And, it just struck me because, for being the two lead actors of most of these movies, they don't have so many scenes, just the two of them. So I think as much as we can get of them together, I think would be really cool. And, I do hear your concerns. I think that we're going to open the Instagram chat. And I think if Sydney and Gail do have a fight or if there is a problem, I think it's going to divide some people, but hopefully whatever happens, there is some nice resolution that feels earned, and it doesn't feel like Gail is just kind of like the cartoon character of Scream 6, you know?
Exactly. I've loved her development over the years, so I don't want it to backslide too far. You still have to have Gail being Gail, you know? So hoping that little clip that they've been showing her saying, like, are you, or what does Sydney say? Like, are you going to play nice? She's like, of course not. I've been waiting 30 years for this. I'm hoping maybe it's funny banter and she's really doesn't go in hard on Sydney.
Well, I have a weird question for you, and other people can weigh in too. Where do you think the finale is going to take place?
Question. It's not going to be the Mocker house that's done and we see it burn. And I don't think
Yes.
that's going to be the end of the movie unless that's the cliffhanger or something. Oh, you know what? I honestly have no idea. Can't even pull something out of my ass right now. Like, I have no idea. And that's going to be a lot of fun to see what the big set piece for the finale is going to be.
You know, because there are many options, right? There's the coffee shop. There is, you know, the neighborhood somewhere, wherever Sydney is. It could be outside for all we know. It could be at Sydney's house, which is kind of symbolic of the whole movie, like, you know, about the ghost face attacking Sydney's home. So it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see Sydney's house and just see the layout of it. And I just hope that it feels iconic, you know?
Same. But you know what? You saying it could possibly happen outside, I think that would be amazing. They've never done an outside finale. Logistically filming and stuff, maybe they wouldn't, but that could be really cool.
They're in rural Indiana, so why not take advantage of the space, right? So, well, Josh, anything else you want to share about your predictions for yourself or for the film?
I predict I'm going to love it. But yeah, that's it. I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of discourse online about how they're not previewing it. But I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I feel like there's more secrets on this one. I also think, you know, nowadays film critics aren't, you know, it's everybody on TikTok gets to go to these press screenings, and I'm wondering if if they're worried about, like, bad faith reviewers who are just gonna shit on it because of, like, the situation, you know, that with Melissa, and so they're just trying to avoid that.
I've been wrestling with this all weekend because first of all, this isn't anything to worry about. Literally for Scream 6, the literal fucking killer reveal video was posted online. If they want to have the embargo until Saturday after we get to see it on Thursday, I don't care. I'm very concerned about the bad faith people. You get views and clicks and likes and retweets based off of outrage. And I think there's going to be a lot of bad faith, to use your word, reviews of the movie just to get that rage bait kind of going on social media. And it's not going to be fair. I hope that most people who have done the work to, let's say, you know, be accepted to Rotten Tomatoes, you know, if they've worked hard enough to get their name and counted towards the tomato score, I hope that they would uphold the integrity of that, as opposed to doing ideological, activist, or just attention-seeking online stuff against a movie. Kevin Williamson doesn't deserve it. Nev Campbell doesn't deserve it. And frankly, the people like us, we don't deserve it either.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just worried about, you know, IMDb is gonna get spammed by a lot of these, you know, the protesters. I use that word loosely. So yeah, but regardless, I'm going in, I'm excited. I'm happy to see it. I can't wait. I haven't been this excited for a Scream movie in years.
I agree. Well, Josh, please tell everybody where they can find you and our pal, Justine.
You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts on Scream Queens Horror Road Trip Podcast. We're on all the social medias, Patreon, you know, all the things.
Awesome. Josh, thank you so much. And I can't wait to talk Sydney with you and Nev after this. You know,
I can't wait. Thanks, Ryan.
of course. Let's go over now to Alex. Hey, Alex.
Hi, Ryan.
This is this is gonna be fun.
Yes, refer to me as the gift king of the Instagram chat. No, not just kidding. If you want to. Yeah, so I'm really liking what I'm hearing from everybody in the panel so far. And I got my own theories and predictions and expectations on Screen 7. I think the fact that we're getting closer and closer is getting me more excited, more anxious, more nervous, because I have no idea who to answer. Before you ask me the question, I have no idea who's going to be the killer. Like, I really, you know, I can just guess every freaking cast member. Like, if I get one right, but I really don't know. But it is interesting that from what I've seen in the trailers and I guess the few spots I've seen, they haven't shown a couple characters at all.
Yeah.
And I kind of find it interesting. What is his name from? He's a new cast member from Can Hardly Wait. What is that lead actor's name?
Ethan Embry.
Yeah, they haven't shown him at all. He's one character they haven't shown, and plus some of the teens. They barely, you know, I find that kind of interesting. Maybe there's some attack scenes they want to reveal. as we get. As for like my expectations, I don't think it. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it's gonna be the best one of the series, or I don't even expect it to be the best sequel. But if it can do something unique and fresh with the franchise, it'll be up there for me, like in the ranking. Especially if it holds up in second, third, and fourth viewings. As for people, their fates, like their returning characters, I know a lot of viewers. None of you have said Gale died. Don't be shocked if it happened because Kevin Williamson, he's not afraid to kill off his own characters. Just let you know. I mean, he he wanted to kill Dewey from Scream 1 back '96. He killed off Randy. Those guys are gone now. Gale's the other fan favorite here that's gonna raise stakes. I know you guys don't want to hear that, but we gotta be realistic here on the stakes. It can't just be Mindy and Chad.
Well, and to be fair, okay, this is the Sidney Prescott movie. This is the movie that counts. So if you are going to, exit someone like Gail Weathers, wouldn't it make sense to give her a moment in the Sidney movie as opposed to, say, the Tatum movie in 8 or,
Yeah.
something else,
I agree. Yeah, I think she's gonna have a big role in the movie. And if she dies, this is a wild prediction. I'm not guaranteeing anything. It's going to be emotional. It's gonna have meaning to it. Obviously, I think she's gonna probably sacrifice herself, maybe to save either Sydney or Tatum. So we'll see. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, everyone's mentioned when they're gonna watch this movie. We'll watch it on the 27th of February, late afternoon on IMAX. That's gonna be. I've never seen a horror movie in IMAX, and I've only seen one movie in my life in IMAX. So it's been a long time. So that's gonna be a very unique experience for me. As for like the dead characters coming back, I think they're all still dead. I'm sorry. My prediction, I'm sticking by that. I'll die that hill until we watch Scream 7. He's dead to me. He died in 1986. That's how it is.
Dead to me.
He's dead to me. In the flesh, he's dead, but in spirit, he's still alive because we're gonna hear him and maybe even see him. But as for like other returning dead characters that they haven't announced, everyone's brought up Nancy Loomis and maybe even Jill, which would make sense. No one's mentioned Randy. I think an AI Randy can happen to mess with either Sydney or Mindy and Chad. Well, it's their uncle, and that's why they're not. That's why they have that late embargo because they don't want people spoiling the secrets. They're really pulling back from a lot of footage. We're not seeing that much for a reason. I think it's because of that.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of surprises that I'm thinking. I'm going to throw another one out there. Don't be surprised if we hear Cotton or even see him because they have not mentioned Cotton since Scream 3, and that actually it's upsetting because he's a boring character.
Do you understand how I would scream in the theaters? Cotton Weary shows up. Oh my god! And Liev has actually talked about this. He was sad he didn't get to come back for Scream 4. He mentions Scream fondly any time he's asked about it.
And he's very important to Sydney's backstory, as well as Billy, as well as Roman, as well as Jill. All these other dead characters, important characters. I would say. I don't think we're gonna see like a Angelina cameo, but someone like Cotton and Randy, I think, is very possible. Those are my predictions. No one's brought that up,
okay.
So I get some points for that if that actually happens. I don't know if you got any questions because that's pretty much everything I gotta say.
Well, so if you had to, so I'm just gonna ask you point blank, okay? Of my group, of this wonderful family that we are, of the SWRCS, Patreon, you're one of the people who is kinder to Scream 6 than most of us. I have to ask you point blank. Do you think this movie will be better than 6, or do you think more appropriately, will it rank higher for you than Scream 6?
I think it's very possible it could be better than 6. For me, the execution is for everything.
Yeah.
Character story, the final act monologue, the top Scream 6 is going to be better Scream 6 for me. And somebody brought up the highest kill count maybe for this movie. That actually would be a funny way to answer to the criticisms of Scream 6 that having too many survivors. For me, it's safe to say Sydney and Tatum are the safest characters. If one of them goes, hell breaks loose, I think. So, yeah, everyone else is a target. I think everyone else is a danger.
I think that's interesting. I don't believe the body count is going to be too high. I think there's too much drama and politics around Scream 7 for them to kill everybody. If I had to just, I'll just throw this out there. I think Scream 8 may be like Halloween Kills, how Halloween Kills just kills, there's like 50 people who die in that movie.
Yeah.
I think what Kevin is doing here is there is going to be an answer that Scream 7's providing to Scream 6, which I think it's going to be about like the sincerity of the writing and the narrative. I think the relationships are going to be really strong. And I think that there's going to be maybe some more earnestness in the finale. And that's going to be the response to Scream 6. And then Scream 8, then it's going to be all hell breaks loose. The twins, maybe Gail Weathers, maybe Tatum, maybe Mark, who knows, whoever survives. So that's not to say that any of those people don't die in this movie. I'm just saying, I think that here, I think they're just going to focus on getting this new era up and running on its feet, and making everybody happy and kind of then stepping forward. I don't know.
I will say though, after all those stabs Chad survived throughout 5 and 6, it will be very ironic if one little stab kills him. Just
Yeah.
one little poke at the heart and an artery or something,
Paper cut.
beheadings. Maybe he's gonna actually get beheaded this time. Who knows?
Scream kills, right? Scream
yeah.
8. That would be,
Yeah.
well, Alex, thank you for your in-depth predictions. I think you came really prepared. I love it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Alex, it was great seeing you tonight. Thank you for coming. All right, let's head over now to Detective Wallace. Hey, Al.
Then I have been very vocal about how excited I am about this movie, and I can't believe we're so close. I
Yeah.
do have tickets for the 6 p.m. fan event. I'm low key still toying with the idea. I just don't know if I can handle being in the theater for that long, but I was thinking about doing a double feature because the 6 o'clock is the fan event, and then they're having an IMAX at 9:05. And I think the timing would be perfect, but I also don't know if I can sit there for that long, I do want to see it because the 6 p.m.s, like none of the ones around here are the IMAX. So I do want to see it in IMAX because I think it will be incredible.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to see it multiple times. That's all. I mean, it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Well, Allie, what are you feeling here about predictions for Scream 7?
It's really tough for me to make predictions, only because I've been trying to stay so very separated from a lot of the media. Like I haven't watched the first trailer since the week it came out. I also haven't watched I guess it was the Super Bowl when it came out like a week early or something, or 2 weeks early. I don't know. Actually, I don't even know if I've seen the actual Super Bowl one, but it was like the second trailer, I guess. I haven't seen that since like a day or two after it came out. I'm not watching any media like interviews or press or anything like that. I'm not reading anything. I do like that they have avoided showing us all of the characters because I feel like that would give us too much, and I think that would lead to too much speculation.
Or give us too much of the plot,
Yeah, I think that McKenna in the plaid skirt is like a red herring. I think it's very tongue in cheek of Kevin just because it's so widely like fan theorized and I guess even proven really that, the killers were blue plaid. So I feel like it's probably very tongue in cheek. I think that Kevin is also protecting everything very well now that this is, he's got his baby back.
Yeah.
So like predictions, I think I'm gonna love it. I think that one of the twins will die. I'm undetermined. It makes, I don't know, feel like it would have to be Mindy. I loved her in 5. I was so much less impressed with her in 6, and that use of her character just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth in 6. But, given the fact that, Chad's taken a licking and kept on kicking, it could be either. It could be both. I do think that the stakes will be higher, and I definitely could see for like her entire friend group. Like, the catalyst for Sydney was Maureen, but the catalyst for Tatum could be her friend group.
Yeah.
That could be a thing. Yeah, I don't want to make too many predictions as far as like the use of AI or how we get to see how and if, what the use of Stu and Roman and Dewey is. It's like I want to be surprised. So it's really hard for me to make predictions.
Yeah.
I think I sent you a text. I hear you guys talking about the guy Asa, is
Yeah.
that his name, being like Anna Kemp's son, but I having seen the pictures or something from the trailer maybe of like I just got the impression that maybe it was McKenna Grace. It was bombshell blonde, or of a bombshell blonde. Kind of that was my connection before you guys started talking about Asa tonight. I honestly I haven't looked that closely at the cast. I don't, aside from McKenna, and I've never really even heard of or knew anything about any of the others.
Yeah.
But it was the same going into 5 and 6. I didn't really know the younger cast. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that Nev's back. I'm happy that Gail's there. I'm happy that Kevin's back. I'm happy that we get Marco back, like, for the score. And I think that Kevin will do us proud. I do still have a gut feeling that we're getting some kind of surprise cameo that has been very, very tightly wrapped, that has not been announced, has not been. I'm not going to make any guesses as to who. I really don't have any guesses because I'm trying not to, I don't want to get my hopes up one way or the other. I just have that feeling that, like, we're going to see someone or hear or something, like there's someone still from the past that's, not dead or alive, it doesn't matter. We're still going to have a surprise. It's not just Matthew and David and Scott. I think we're getting something else.
Right. Well, I hope so. I hope that there are some secrets left to be had as it pertains to Scream 7, and that this, that there are layers here to the surprises. So, one last question for you, Al. Where do you predict Scream 7 is going to fall in your ranking?
Honestly, I think it's going to fall like dead center. No pun intended. I think it's going to be 3-1-2, 3-1-4. I don't even know my ranking anymore. I see, and that's the thing, is like next week I want to sit down and rewatch, like have a proper marathon.
Yeah.
I'm still mad that the marketing team has not jumped on that, because they would make bank money. Maybe they'll do it for the anniversary in December as like like a re-release of everything. Would be fucking bank. That would be so good. Whatever my ranking is, I think it's just going to be like square in the middle. Maybe 3-1-7. We'll see.
I hope that's fine,
Given my hype for the movie and with how excited I am, I think that's more likely the case. It's going to fall third place.
Well, I hope so. And I hope that you're happy with the movie after all of this time and after all of the hype.
Me too. I hope everyone loves it.
Well, Al, thank you so much for coming tonight and giving us a little taste of the predictions here. All right, let's now go to my friend in New York. We're going to welcome to New York over here, Mr. Sam Levy.
Hi, Ryan. I kind of wanted to be on the Europe one so that I could flirt with Amar, but I'm here and I'm happy to be here.
Well, in due time. He's always looking for attention.
Yes, I am excited. I really hope it's good. I hope everybody enjoys it. Still do have my concerns. The trailer was better than I was expecting. I'm hopeful that the suspense is back. I thought 6 was pretty suspenseful, but I thought that was like the thing that it was good at. But I'm hoping that the story progresses. I'm hoping that they have. I don't know what they have to say on a meta level and how that they would tie that back into the real world, which has always been this franchise's like hook. And so I'm not really sure what they're going to do with this at this point. I hope the story's engrossing. I hope it's evolving. I really honestly have no idea what's going to happen, except that like most people are going to get killed and that the ghost face reveal is going to be underwhelming because I personally feel like to date, most of the Ghostface reveals have been underwhelming. So, but that's okay as long as they make it convincing and make it suspenseful. And uh I really do want to see some actual just like normal like help like family real dynamics and like just really like good like just natural like coming of age like life story. Like I that's really what I want.
Yeah. Well, so I was joking earlier with Alex about Halloween kills and Scream kills. And I was half joking because I actually do think that that's very possible. And I feel like Sam wants the Scream ends like version, like the Halloween ends version of Scream, where, it's Laurie Strode and Sidney Prescott going in a grocery store, flirting with, some guy buying vegetables. And then, there's a small confrontation at the very end. But
Yes, exactly. We're about to enter our 7 era. We have been fortunate, but yes, that was for you, Ryan. I'm happy Kevin Williamson is back and getting hands on directly. Everyone else seems to be on board too. So I'm just
Well,
hoping for the best.
and I will just kind of answer this. How do you surprise people, or what do you do when you think you have to surprise people? I think the answer is you have to do a good story, and you have to put the goods into the characters and actually just make a good quality narrative. And I think that at the end of the day, that's what we're going to get with Kevin and what he's crafted here, along with Guy Busick. I guess I don't know, but I'm just teasing. Well, thank you. I hope that everyone's happy with the results. That's my wish
I
for
hope so.
Sam.
I hope so too. I really do.
All right. Well, Sam, thank you so much. I'm going to head on over now to Josh. Hey, honey.
Hi.
How is the birthday boy? The soon to be birthday boy.
Good, honey. We're just planning. We're gonna go kikiing at the gay bar for the night, so I'm excited.
Well, so, now that the fan event is officially happening on the 26th, it really is like Scream 7 is a birthday event for you.
Yes, honey, it is. Thank you, everyone. Happy birthday. Thank you. What is with the Gail not getting any love? She's like fucking nowhere. I've seen little bits of her here and there. It's ridiculous. They are not treating her like a co-lead.
Yeah, I do wish that there was a little bit more Gale in the marketing, but I think there's going to be a lot of Gale in the movie. And
what the hell is with Courtney Cox doing no fucking interviews? I see Neve Campbell everywhere. Like, I want to see Gail.
She's going to get around. She'll be at the premiere. We'll see a lot of her over the next 2 weeks, I think.
Well, honey, I just gave you the gay gasp. Here's a prediction, and I can't even believe I'm saying this. Oh my God, honey, hold on to your heart. I think Mindy's gonna die.
You think?
Honey, I don't want to say that, and you know about me putting out that kind of bad energy, but I did see one part. It was like a small little trailer, and honey, Chad's going like this, and I think he discovers her dead body. I think that's what might happen.
Wow.
That's the only thing I know, honey, but I don't want her to die at all.
I don't either. At this point, I really don't either.
And I become really close with Jess, and we were FaceTiming the other day, and we both want to see Sydney smile and like happy and have fun. That's another thing. I like her to have in the movie, she's always like, and like not very happy and like kind of like, but I just want her to be happy, honey. I want her to laugh. Like that's what I want. I did see one thing where her and like Joel McHale, which by the way, thank God, he looks so good in it, honey. He looks so good. And they look like they were like gonna get ready to fuck or something. That's what I like to see.
I will say I don't really know Joel McHale. I've never really watched anything that he's been in. So this is going to be interesting for me. I think that the chemistry is there based off of the clips that we saw in the Entertainment Tonight segment from a couple weeks ago, for sure.
Yes, honey. And I can't wait. My nephew bought us tickets. I'm going February 27th.
Cool. Well, I'm happy for you, and I'm happy that you get to spend your birthday with Scream, and that you'll always have this like Scream connection with your birthday.
Thanks, honey. I'm happy for all of you because all of you seem so happy about it. Honey, one other thing, everyone needs to watch Heated Rivalry. Honey, I'm reading the books right now, and I'm in fucking love.
Well, you were recently on the Alien Resurrection episode with me. I was really happy that we could give that movie its due for, a Patreon episode. And just to, I love that movie. And I think that we did a really nice little review of it.
We did, honey. And shout out to the New Zealand guy. I think he's from New Zealand or Australia. Oh, honey, I love your aliens thing. Love. Love, love, love. I love all of you. Hopefully you all enjoy the movie and have fun. And thanks for the birthday wishes. Mwah.
Thanks, Josh.
Bye, honey.
Bye, honey. All right. And let's bring the Zoom here to a close with one final guest. So, Brett Janovich, please hit me with your predictions.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi.
Everybody. So, my prediction, I strongly think that Jessica is potentially one of the killers, and that Lucas is also one of the killers. Those are just two of my predictions. Love Anna Camp ever since Pitch Perfect. She's a terrific, marvelous actress indeed. I just really think that she could either be Cindy's best friend, as we say she could be, or she's both the neighbor and friend at the same time, who can also be a bit of a bitch. I'm sorry to say, but she could be. And if that's the case, she'd maybe be the killer. Because I've heard this said before, but I honestly think that the interview, it's not really an interview per se. It's more of a lure to lure Ghostface to get them, because we all know the killer's coming after Tatum. Ghostface to go after both Gail and Sydney, which would make a lot of sense because Sydney would do everything in her power to make sure that Ghostface will target herself rather than targeting her daughter. But if there's like three killers, then one will definitely be targeting Gail, one's going to target Sydney, the other one's going to target the friend group, because I don't think it's going to be an adult targeting freaking a little kid. I don't think that.
Well, I think that's a really interesting perspective to almost do a Scream 2 and have different killers targeting different types of people.
Exactly.
It's a very, very cool idea. Thank you, Brett. Thank you, everybody who submitted a survey for the contest. And I hope everyone has a great time seeing Scream 7. So thank you for coming, everybody.
All copyrighted material used or referenced in this show belong to their rightful owners and made possible by the Fair Use Act.
And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back. Get another beer, you want one? Yeah, sure. I'll be right back!
Dear God, Ryan,